Hey guys, it is Friday. I am so glad that it's finally here, and I know you guys are as well. You know, sometimes I feel like my weeks are like an Ironman triathlon. You know, Ironman triathlon is 2.4 miles swim, and it's a 112-mile bicycle ride. That's a long ride. And it's a marathon of 26.2 miles. And all this is done in the space of 17 hours. And if you finish that grueling course, you are called an Ironman. And you know, that's kind of like our Christian walk with the Lord. A lot of people call it a walk, but really it's a run. It's an endurance challenge. And the Ironman Triathlon is considered one of the most difficult one-day sporting events in the world. And that's very similar to our Christian walk and our Christian endurance run. And Hebrews chapter 12 says this about that. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, that's talking about the previous chapter, was talking about great men and women of the Bible, Abraham, Enoch, Rahab, all these people that ran their race well, Sarah, and used their great example of faith in chapter 11. And now in chapter 12, the writer of Hebrews is telling us, follow their example. You have that great cloud of witnesses that ran their race by faith. So it's saying, since you see all that, let us lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him, Jesus, who endured from sinners such hostility against himself, so that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted. So if we're going to run this Ironman triathlon that we call our Christian walk with God, there are three things we need to do. First of all, we need to lay aside those things that hinder us, those sins in our lives that pull us down and that try to sway us away from God. Anything in your life that's hindering you from running your race well, you need to get rid of it. Lay it aside, this verse says. And the next thing, you need to run with endurance. That means run with the idea that you're not going to stop. No matter how hard it gets, no matter who's following you or who isn't, no matter if there's people cheering for you in the stands or booing for you, you run with endurance, with the idea that I'm going to finish this race even if it kills me. If it kills you, you can't finish, right? But that's the idea. I'm going to run this race, and I'm going to run hard and run to win and run with everything that I have. And the last thing, we look to Jesus. When Jesus was on this earth, he was persecuted, he was mocked, they attempted to trick him and ensnare him and trick him up with his words and ask him the political gotcha questions. They tried those things on Jesus. They whipped him, they beat him, they spit upon him and shoved that crown of thorns on his head, nailed him to a cross, and he hung there in agony. But he endured it for you. So it says, consider Jesus. Look to Jesus as the pattern. He endured. You can endure. So what I want to say to you today, guys, whatever you're going through, no matter how difficult your Christian walk is today, run well with endurance. Lay aside the things that are hindering you and look to Jesus, for an example. Look to Jesus for grace and strength. And look to Jesus as the one person in the stands you know is cheering you on and wanting you to run well and wanting you to win. And you can do it. So do it.
Just do it!
That's your word for today. Have a great week. And it's time for me to buzz off.